Kagadosh Boker Or. We're on Ilchot Shabbat Siman Res Tzadik Tet. We just finished Sif Aleph, which was talking about you're not allowed to eat anything or drink wine or drink any liquids other than water from the time that it becomes nighttime until you do Havdalah. But if you're in the middle of a meal, if you're in the middle of the meal, so you're allowed to. So we were just basically saying that if a person right now is already eating mibel yom, so this is eating, if you remember, we said was any type of food, because it says here vafilu rakat chala be'alma that you already made hamotzi. So there's a whole question: is it dafka motzi, or is it even going to be any other type of eating as well, even if it's not hamotzi? But you do not need to stop your eating. Eno tzarich lafsik. You do not need to stop your eating even from drinking. But if you're only drinking, that you have to stop because drinking is not considered a kviyut. Right? So that's what's actually brought down. If you actually pay attention, right, we said, right, that you started eating. So the truth is, Rabban Sion says that it's even mizonot. Even though here the Mishnah Berurah is mashma motzi, but it's even mizonot, right? So he comes and he says, right, as follows. He says, but if you're only drinking, you do have to stop because drinking is nothing. It's not considered a kviyut. Okay? Now he says, "V'minhag pashut v'yesh omrim da'anim mile b'safek chashecha, aval v'vaday chashecha." Even if you're eating, you have to stop. We don't pass it like that, obviously, right? That means basically once you started beted and you're eating, you continue your meal. Okay, no problem. Okay, alacha bet. There's going to be siv bet. So in siv bet, it says like this: Ayu shotim ve'amru bo v'navdil. What happens if they were drinking and all of a sudden they said, "Let's do avdalah." They don't have to come and make a new bracha, and somebody argues on this. So what does that mean? So it says here they're in the middle of their meal. That's what it says in Mishnah Berurah number Zayin, number 7. Yeah. Suda Shalishit, that's the time that you're always having your meal during the right by the Shkia. Yeah. So one second. What does that mean? What does that mean? Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. So Hainu betoch achilatan, they're in the middle of the meal. Vatchalat achila ita mibod yom. So they started the meal during the day, right? And therefore what happened? Now it becomes nighttime. So in the middle, imagine right now we're in the middle of Suda Shalishit. We say, let's do Avdalah. Let's do Avdalah. Right? Remember, Avdalah is not kashut to Arvit. You understand? That means you could do Avdalah before Arvit. So right now I'm going to do Avdalah. Right now I'm going to do Avdalah. So I want to do Avdalah. So he says, "Ulkach סביר לדעה כמייתא, דכיוון שלא היו צריכים להפסיק אף שחשכה, העמידה שאמרו בו ונבדיל אינו מזיק לזה. ורשאים לאכול ולשתות." Meaning like this.
Reading in English, don't like this. English, not Hebrew like this. English.
I'm going to translate.
I'm saying it's unnecessary.
No, you have to read the Hebrew. Yeah? You have to learn the Hebrew, Richard. Right? So what happens like this, right? The concept is the fact that according to the first Shita, you didn't need to stop drinking because you're in the middle of a meal. If you're in the middle of a meal, you're in the middle of Suda Shlishit, do you have to stop drinking? No. It's for sure nighttime. Do you have to stop drinking? No. You could continue drinking. So the fact that you said, let's stop and let's do Avdalah, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? It doesn't stop you. It doesn't impede you from continuing because you didn't need to stop. So that's the first shita, right? Eno maziklas, it doesn't damage us, and you're allowed to continue drinking. You don't have to make a bracha because there's no sechadat. But if you were only drinking, right? So now you have to stop. So now if you say boven avdil, according to everybody, that's a sechadat. Now if you want to drink again, right? Even though you're not allowed to, but even if you would drink again, you have to make a bracha.
Well, guess what?
What?
I could be wrong, but on the first one that we did, it said is that if you're drinking and then all of a sudden night came, you can't drink anymore till you make Havdalah. But if you make Havdalah, you can continue drinking
without a bracha. Exactly. And that's what we're just saying. Yeah. That's what we're saying right now. Now that we're saying that the fact that you say, let's do Avdalah, now if you wanted to continue drinking later on, that's considered mamash like
because in your mind you may have sex.
Because you made a second, now you have to make a new bracha. Okay? Fine. Halacha gimel. Keshemafsik lavdil. When you make a sek for doing Avdalah,
you're doing Sudat Machine, you're drinking, and then you say, you know what, let's do Avdalah. You do the Avdalah, and then you can, as he says, you can continue drinking without any bracha.
Exactly. Exactly, because you were in the middle of a meal. But let's say you were only drinking.
You didn't do what,
you didn't do mizonot, you didn't do amotzi, and you're only drinking. And now they say, let's do Avdalah. Now when you have to do Avdalah, and when you finish Avdalah, you have to make a new bracha on what you're drinking.
The fact that you is what make you continue.
Yes. Now why? Because the fact that you said let's go do Avdalah, you didn't need to do Avdalah, so you could have continued, right?
Drink before Avdalah.
Sure not. That's Sif Aleph. That's Sif Aleph. Sif Aleph says other than water, you're not allowed to drink nothing before Havdalah.
And you're allowed to do the Havdalah and then come back and do Avdala.
Of course. Arvit and Havdalah are two different things. Okay? So now he says like this, כשמפסיק להבדיל, when you do a sek for Havdalah, אינו צריך לברך ברפרי הגפן על כוס של הבדלה, ויש אומרים שצריך. So now the question is, do you have to make a new bracha now on the kos of bracha, on the Havdalah or not? Because if you were drinking wine in the middle of the meal, right? Which means, look in the Mishnah Berurah Tet, number 9. היינו אפילו אם היה קבוע מתחילה לשתייה לבד. Even if you were only drinking. So imagine you're drinking wine, and now you have to do Havdalah, right? Afilu achi, you don't have to make a Borei Geffen now. Why? Because the Borei Geffen that you just drank 5 minutes ago is going to be poter. Right? And we're not going to say that you have to, that we're in the middle of the achila, but Zvinadin, right? You don't have to stop. He says, so therefore you don't have to make a new Purei Geffen. Some people say that you do. Okay, so it's basically saying it's a Sam V'yesh or Yesh V'yesh. I forgot. Let me just turn the page again one more time. It's a Sam V'yesh. The Stam says you don't have to make a new bracha, but according to the Shomrim, you do have to make a new bracha. Here he says that you do lechatchila lizar lechatchila, not to make Havdalah in the middle of the Seudah, right? Not on shechar or not on wine if you already did it on wine beforehand. Basically like this. That basically like this. I'm in the middle right now of drinking, and I'm drinking obviously wine, right?
Instead of doing amoti, that's what we said.
Yeah. Instead of doing amoti, I was drinking wine. Exactly.
Drinking Coke.
Exactly. So I'm right now drinking wine. Okay, and all of a sudden now they come and they say, okay, fine, let's do Havdalah. Now the question is, when I do Havdalah, I have to say make a Borei Geffen? Because I was just drinking wine. So do you have to make a Borei Geffen or not? So according to the first Shita, you don't have to make a Borei Geffen. Why? Because you were just drinking wine. According to the second one, right? And he says that's even if you only were drinking wine, not only if you were just having a meal and also drinking wine in the middle, right? Yeah, just wine. So he comes and he says, he says, because at the end of the day, kos Havdalah has nothing to do with the Seudah. And since it has nothing to do with Seudah, you have to make a bracha, a Borei Geffen. It's something else. It's something different. Obviously, we go like the first Shita, but he says, lechatchila, you shouldn't get into a problem.
Small, this comes from this French guy.
Fine. Last halacha before we go to the Musar. Kishaya ochel v'chashcha. If he's eating and it becomes choshech. שאמרנו שאינו צריך להפסיק, that we said that you don't have to finish. גומר סעודתו, מברך ברכת המזון על הכוס, ואחר כך מבדיל עליו. So you come, you make ברכת המזון, and afterwards you do Havdalah on it. אם יש לו שני כוסות, if you have two כוסות, you do ברכת המזון on one, and then you do Havdalah on the other one. Meaning if you have 2 cups, so do 2 cups of wine, so you do ברכת המזון with the cup, right, on one, and then you're going to do the other one.
Better to use 1 cup for both.
No, that's what he says here. If you have 2, you should do 2 separately.
Okay.
That's Shulchan Aruch. Shitat Shulchan Aruch. Even though you're right, there's going to be a Mishnah Berurah. Let's see here. Mishnah Berurah number 11 says, according to the Mandamar, that says you have to always have to do Birkat Hamazon with a cup. Okay, ala kos. Now you don't drink it until after Havdalah, in order that you don't make it pagum, you don't make it defected, so you don't drink it. Okay. The last one, he comes and he says, right? What happens if you have 2 cups? The reason why is he comes and he says is because right? So obviously the first one was only you only had 1 cup.
When you say you
But all
don't
the-
drink it, do you make a Borei Geffen? No. You
No,
don't make a
no,
Borei Geffen.
you don't.
You hold it in your hand, you make the
You do
set
it.
it down, but you don't make
Exactly, and then you wait until the end until you do Havdalah, and that's when you make a Borei Geffen.
You get that?
You're gonna repeat it.
But you only make the Borei Geffen when you're going to drink it, which is after Havdalah, not now. Now you just do Birkat Hamazon like kos.
Hold the cup.
You hold
put
the
it down
cup.
after 3 paragraphs.
Yes,
4
you do. You put it down, and
Put it
that's it.
down.
Then you wait until Havdalah.
To the end of the Havdalah, you're drinking the wine that you started
From the Birkat Hamazon, yes, because you only had 1 cup. Yes.
And-
But if you have 2 cups, you're going to
That
split it.
could be for Ashkenazim.
Let's see. Mishnah Berurah, מברך ברכת המזון, ומותר לשתות מהכוס שהוא קודם הבדלה. You're allowed to drink from the cup, even though it's before הבדלה, because this is ברכת המזון, has to do with the סעודה. וכל זה, but says the Mishnah Berurah, this is only למי שנזהר תמיד לברך על הכוס, only if you always drink on the cup. but what happens if you only sometimes make a bracha on the cup? Right? לפי שסומך לפוסקים that they hold that you don't need a cup. אסור לו לשתות אתה מכוס של המזון, you're not allowed to drink it now. Now you're not allowed to drink it. Okay? וכתב אחרי אדם דווקא if it's only going to be for sure nighttime, but if it's going to be suffect, then you can't drink. So basically, there's going to be a whole question. What about the person that doesn't always do it? So the Or Letzion says, if you drink from the cup of Birkat Hamazon, don't give it to other people to drink. The Ben Ish Chai brings down somebody that makes a bracha on Seudah Rishonah and Shniya and Seudah Shlishit usually doesn't. He shouldn't do it right now, right? But what about Chatam v'Kala? So sometimes it happens, you have a Khatam V'Kala, that they are, Sheva Berachot. So the last two times that they did here, they didn't do Sheva Berachot because they didn't bring the Kala. So you don't do Sheva Berachot. But let's say the Kala would come here and they would do Sheva Berachot. So he says to do that Khatam V'Kala, you have Sheva Berachot. The Chazon Ovadia brings down that even if it's nighttime, they could do the bracha, the kosot, the Birkat Hamazon and everything, and they're allowed to drink from the kosot and also the Khatam V'Kala, even though they didn't do Avdalah. Because since always by Khatam V'Kala, you always drink from the cup, so it's not like this case that you're not careful of drinking by Birkat Hamazon, so you're allowed to drink from it without a problem. Okay?